Yeah. Okay.
Nero, can you please mute yourself? We can hear the feedback from the other one. Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for spending your evening here with us at Immigrant Techies Alberta. So I'm going to, before I introduce our amazing speaker for tonight, I'm just going to share my screen and show you quickly just a brief overview of what we do at Immigrant Techies Alberta. Let me know when you can see my screen. Yeah? Okay, so, excuse me. The Immigrant Techies is a community that was founded based on a need that was observed in the ecosystem, where the tech space was growing and a lot of exciting things started happening in tech, but there weren't a lot of newcomers that had the opportunity to fulfill their own potential in Alberta tech. So this group was founded as a community to just support immigrants as they explore the tech space. So for those who are already in the technology space from their countries, and then they get to Canada, they don't know where to go, where to start, where to begin, how to navigate, we try to be that place, that point, that's a bridge into the Alberta innovation community to the newcomers. So we're a tech enthusiast group for skilled immigrants and those who support them. We get a lot of people who are not immigrants that also attend our programs. So those who are already in tech or who are interested in pivoting to tech careers and startups. And as I was saying, so we are like a bridge into the larger ecosystem, because when people come in, sometimes you're like, do I belong in tech? Is enough for a particular age range? Am I old? Am I too old to be in tech? Am I, there are a lot of stories we tell ourselves and we wonder if this is a place for us to be. So, so this space we have created is an exploratory space for those who are interested. It's a safe space. It's a place where there are no dumb questions. Every question is good. Like everybody here is still learning. Everybody here is just evolving with everything that's changing. So there are no experts anywhere. We just want you to feel safe, that you can ask your questions, you can be yourself here. And it's okay if you're just starting on your journey, or however far gone you are in your journey, in your career. This is the space for you where you can just feel free to be yourself, a place of psychological safety. And we provide opportunities for networking and mentorship. We curate emerging tech content, events, resources. We know there's an event coming on somewhere else, we'll let you know. So if you want to be part of the community so that you can be on top of all this information, you're welcome to join us. And our goal is to provide community and support for immigrant professionals who desire to pivot to tech, or who are already in tech and want to advance, or who are interested in founding their own startups. We provide all that kind of support as well. And we have recently, I'm going to stop sharing now. We have recently launched a Telegram group, because we are in the process of creating an app that would be a community connect space, but that is still ongoing. So in the meantime, we have created a Telegram group to just keep the engagement going until the other platform is ready. Nero, if you want to share the link to the group, to the Telegram group in the chat now, that would be great. And it will also be great if we can see faces. So right now I can see myself and just myself and Aryan. That's not too encouraging. It would be great to see your faces. Thank you. Thank you, Elena. All right. So tonight, I have to confess that for us at Immigrant Techies, we have never paid close enough attention to international students. So we support professionals, we support immigrants who are professionals, and I we have not designed something specifically targeted to students. And I really feel bad about that because I realize how much support international students actually need. So all the challenges that regular immigrants have, international students have those, plus more, because there are so many programs that support immigrants, but hardly will you find anything that supports international students because they are not considered Canadians or permanent residents yet. And that's just heartbreaking, honestly. And I also recognize the resilience of many international students. Some people already have a degree, right? They are coming here to do another one. And some people leave home as young as 16, 17 to come and fend for themselves, start life over on their own. So if anything, international students are strong, resilient people, productive, resourceful people that should be given all the support that they can get. So this event here is one of those that we're trying to kickstart, so that we are providing some targeted support for international students as well. So, and what better way to do that than to invite an exceptional international student? So Aryan Panchal is going to be talking to us today, sharing his story, how he has managed to build a network of employers, how he has held down several jobs as an international student, professional jobs, jobs that are relevant to his career. So we want to hear his story, and there'll be time for question and answers. So just enjoy this time, and yeah, Arian, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Wenmi, for giving me the opportunity to come here and speak to everyone as well. And thank you everyone for joining, and those who have your cameras on. Thank you for doing that. So I'm here to talk about the power of networking and how networking can change your life. You might be thinking, who is this person talking about networking? So let me start by sharing my story about who I am, what I do, and how I got lots of different opportunities through networking. And so let's start with, who am I? So my name is Aryan, and I'm a third year university student majoring in finance at the University of Calgary. I am 21 years old, and I still have 2 more years till I graduate. I took a break from university for 16 months starting last May. And since then, I have been doing I did 4 internships in the last 16 months with 4 other jobs at the same time, which I'll talk about in a bit. And since I came to Canada 2 years ago, I must have done around 20 different jobs related to my field. So let me share my in-depth experiences and how I found lots of different opportunities. So as I mentioned, I came to Canada 2 years ago with no work experience, full of self-doubt and no communication skills as well. Back home in India, I never got the opportunity to speak in English as everyone spoke in their native languages. And when I came to Canada, I was scared to talk to people and insecure about my accent as well. I was lost on what I wanted to do and didn't know anyone here in Canada. I remember I had no idea what to put in my resume besides my education qualifications because I had no work experience. I remember applying to thousands of different jobs in a span of 1 month and getting rejected by all of them. I was applying for jobs at restaurants, medical clinics, and any places that was hiring. But after being rejected, I thought to myself, there are hundreds of other people applying for the same job as well. So how do I stand out from the crowd? I started thinking about all the other applicants as my competition, and now I needed to figure out how to beat my competition. So I started going to restaurants in person and asked to see the manager to do on the spot interviews with me. I was scared to do that, and I was scared of being rejected, and I didn't think this would work, but I gave it a shot. And I remember I went to 10 restaurants when I first came to Canada in my second month of being in Canada. And I saw the manager establish that trust, and I got 8 job offers. But as time went on and I worked at a few restaurants in like the first 2 months, I developed my communication skills. And as time went on, I got to know about Platform Calgary and about the tech startup ecosystem here in Calgary. And I wanted to gain relevant Canadian work experience in my field and develop my skill sets. I recall myself being so scared to talk to people while attending my first few networking events. I didn't know what to talk about. I didn't know how to build trust, what questions to ask, and how to nurture those relationships. But as I attended more networking events and the more I put myself out there, I became comfortable with building relationships and got a lot of opportunities. My first job in my field was at a digital marketing startup as a business analyst. And I got to develop other skills as well by working in the HR department, creating blog posts, and doing social media marketing as well. And I got this job through networking. And when I got this job, I still attended networking events, met people. And through that, I started working at one more startup called Adversity as a data analyst. And again, I got these 2 jobs and I never stopped attending networking events. And I wasn't even looking for anything. I kept networking just for the sake of building relationships and getting to know people. Once I started doing this, I got, more opportunities, and I met so many interesting people who helped me a lot along the way. Let me
Mm-hmm.
share, an interesting story that shows the, power of networking and putting yourself out there. So last year, I joined these gymnastics classes called Captivate Gymnastics, and the owner of the business is a mom with 3 kids. And as a person who is trying to, help and support small businesses, I talked to the owner to see if there's any way I could help her out in her business. And since 1 year, I have been, improving my skill sets by doing data analysis and social media marketing as well. And in those gymnastics classes, I met this one lady who had a local handmade soap business called Bonus Soap Works. And I was talking to her and shared my story, and now I'm helping her out with her business as well. And then she introduced me to one of her friends who owns her business as well. And now I'm helping her out in doing market research and doing marketing and social media marketing for her as well. And
From attending a gym event, you said?
yeah, from that,
Mm.
from that, it's like I kept talking to people. I kept, like asking, oh, do you need help with your business? I just wanted to gain some relevant Canadian work experience and just volunteer to help out people so that I could learn, my relevant skill sets as well, right? So this was like one thing that showed me that, if you network with people and, if you put yourself out there, you'll get lots of different opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And
So there
last year,
was an interesting story you shared with me the first time we met. I mean, it's part of your story.
yeah,
How, and you mentioned it already also, you stretching out, taking a break from school
yeah,
so that you can work. I'd like you
hmm
to talk a little bit more about that because this is
yeah,
an audience of international students. So I'm sure they
hmm
understand that very well. So what were you, that sounds like a very out of the box kind of thing to do, to say I'm gonna lengthen the time for my studies so I can get more work. So how did you do that and why? And what process were you able to leverage
hmm
to, yeah, just speak to
yeah,
your fellow international
for
students,
sure,
like
yeah.
how can you stretch out your co-op to
hmm
give you relevant work experience in the field that you're actually studying in, not just any
hmm
job. Yeah,
yeah,
if you can
for
speak a
sure.
bit to that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so as when we mentioned that I took a break from university for 16 months to do internships. So why did I take such a long break? And can I even take this long break as an international student, right? And there were 2 reasons why I took a break from university to do internships. The first was to gain relevant work experience in my field. And the second reason was I needed to earn enough money to go back to university. But as you know, international students pay tons of tuition fees. And over the last 16 months, I did 4 4-month internships and I saved up enough to go back to university. And I'm going back to university finally in September after 16 months. So I got enrolled in the co-op program at the University of Calgary. The requirement to pass the program was to do a total of 2 work terms, which was equivalent to 8 months of work. And I had the option to split my work terms and I could have spread it over my degree. But I wanted to take a longer break. And as you know, you can work full time during the summer and you can do summer internships on your study permit, but you cannot do that during fall and winter, right? So I decided to use my first summer internship and then did like 2 consecutive co-op work terms over fall and winter on my co-op work permit. And then I did a summer internship again, which was just on my study permit. So this is how I split my 16 months of internships, where first I did a summer internship on my study permit, because you can do a summer internship on your study permit and work full time over the summer. And then during the fall and winter, I used my co-op work terms, which was equivalent to 8 months of my co-op work term. And then again, I switched back to my summer status and I did a summer internship. So this is how I stretched out my 16 months of internships and by utilizing my co-op work terms as well.
Now, do many people do that? Is that a usual practice for students?
Mm, I haven't I talked to a lot of people about, how to do internships and how to spread this out. And a lot of international students didn't think of doing this and they didn't know that there was a possibility to do this as well. So from my experience and from what I saw and to with whom I was talking to, I did not see a lot of people doing this. And I think, like, I was an anomaly by talking to like all these different people, and they were saying, oh, I just did a summer internship and I'm going back to fall. But I thought to myself, is there a way to do these to do like a 16-month internship? And this is how then I decided, okay, I want to split my internship. And it's not common, and I'm trying to raise awareness about there's a possibility to do this as well, where you can either do if you're a bachelor's student. I know that employers offer you straight 16-month internships as well, or they offer you a 12-month internship as well. So if you get an offer, there is a possibility to do a 16-month internship consecutively over over 16 months. So there is an opportunity if you get an offer. But what I did was, like, I wanted to work at different companies, like different big companies. So I did like 4 month, 4 month, 4 month internships. But there is a possibility to do these kind of 16-month internships as well.
And right now you have a full-time job,
Yeah,
right?
that's correct.
So
So
how did that fit into all of that, since you're still going back to school in the fall?
yeah, for sure. So let me give you like a brief context behind, what happened and what I'm doing right now. So since we last talked, a lot of things have changed in my life.
Okay, awesome.
And yeah, and so
For good, I hope.
oh yeah, for
Good
obvious,
things.
hopefully for good. I took a risk, but yeah, I'll talk more about that. So my first internship was at a digital marketing startup where I worked as a data analyst. Then in the fall of last year, I did a 4 month internship at TD Bank as a data analyst. And then I moved on to working at Alta ML, a consulting firm for AI and machine learning as a business consultant. And currently I'm doing an internship at MNP as a consultant. But 2 weeks ago, I quit my internship and I quit all of my other jobs that I was doing to focus on one thing that I'm creating. So while I was at Alta ML, I came up with a product idea that uses AI to help job seekers improve their skill sets to find a job. And 2 months ago, I pitched this idea to Alta ML to see if I could get some investment in building this product. And since like 1 month, I have been doing discovery interviews with lots of different universities, colleges, recruitment agencies to see if there's an opportunity to implement my product in these universities. And right now, and since like 1 month, I have talked to over 80 different people and did discovery interviews with more than 80 different people. And now University of Calgary, University of Alberta, University of Lethbridge, and Lethbridge College have all agreed to do a prototype testing of my product with students. And so I quit all of my jobs and my internship just to focus on this product and build and learning how to build a startup essentially. So I took a risk, but things are going well now, and I'm going back to university in September full time. And Alta ML, they offered me a full time position as a product owner as well. So
Yeah,
I
you can clap again. I know. That's exactly how I was feeling like, yeah, that is amazing and so impressive that
thank
you've been
you.
able to not only find a way to work around being a student, but now you're also creating solutions for other students. That's so
Yeah,
inspiring.
thank you, thank you.
Mhm. And if people have questions, please you can start putting them in the chat. You don't need to wait
Yeah.
until we're done talking here. So just feel free to start dropping the questions. Yeah, go on. I can
Oh,
see there's more you want to tell us.
oh yeah, for sure. So I want to share like one more story about, how I met Alta ML, right? It's like how did I end up doing this, like, quitting all my jobs and taking that risk and building this product, and Alta ML investing money and helping me build this product, right? So it's like, how did I meet Alta ML, right? So I remember meeting a few people from Alta ML at Platform Calgary during a networking event. Uh, like exactly 1 year ago. And I talked to them, shared my story, and asked lots of different questions about them and the company. And I was intrigued by AI and machine learning, and I loved what Altamel did. And I fostered this relationship with the people that I talk to by booking one-on-one coffee chats at least once a month to stay in touch. When I met Altamel, I had it in my mind, okay, I want to work for this company. How can I get into this company now, right? So I met them in July of last year, and since like July, I booked coffee chats at least once a month from someone at company to stay in touch, to see what's happening, what they're working on. And luckily in December, an internship position opened up, and one of the employees from AltaML told me about this internship and asked me to apply for it. And I thought, okay, you know what? This is the perfect opportunity as I was looking for my next internship. And through networking and fostering that relationship over, the period of 6 months or 5 months, I finally found an internship at Alta ML. And I did that by just, building that trust with people at Alta ML and not stopping until I got into Alta ML. And I remember when I got into Alta ML and when my internship was ended, I told everyone, like I talked to, there are like 150 employees at the company. I talked to all 150 employees. I kept telling them, I want to get back to Altamal after my internship ends. Like, even if it's like part-time, I want to get back. Like, let's find a way. Let's find a way. I put this thing in everyone's head. Like I talked from like, from managers to like the CEO of the company. I told everyone, okay, I want to get back to Altamal. Now let's figure out a way. I put that seed in their brains,
Mm,
and then things happened, and now I'm going back to Altem, and like they offered me a full-time position from September as well. So it's like if you put yourself out there and talk to enough people, it's like good things will happen and the
mhm.
universe will all align and give you good things. So this is like what one interesting story that happened with me.
That's so amazing. And one thing again about networking, and I'm sure you still have tips to share on that,
Mhm.
is you don't network so that you can get a job.
Yeah.
You network so that you can build relationships. And then the jobs and whatever you want becomes an output of that, becomes an outcome.
Yeah.
that you didn't have to actually go for. You know, when people send messages on LinkedIn and the first line is, I am new in Canada, I am looking for a job. Can you please help me find a job? You've already closed the door to something
Yeah.
that could have become a beautiful relationship.
Sure.
Because if I don't have a job to give you, then I don't have any motivation to respond to that message because I'm like, I don't have a job to give him. What am I
Hmm.
going to say? So I'll just
Yeah.
walk away.
Yeah.
But if your approach is, I want to learn what you do, I want to attend this event, I want to meet this person because I'm interested in their work,
Hmm.
then it becomes an actual authentic relationship. It is possible. It is possible to build authentic relationships with people you don't know before. I was able to grow my network during the pandemic when I couldn't actually meet people one on one. I would say I grew my network bigger than I had all the years I had been in Canada prior to that because it was authentic. It was about fellowship. It was about just enjoying being together and learning about things. And then as people get to know you, you get opportunity to demonstrate your skills and your name begins to form in their minds when opportunities arise. So I know it sounds cliche, but it is true.
Yeah.
Networking, meeting people, just enjoying the process of learning
Hmm.
eventually pays out.
Yeah, for sure. That
Should
is actually
we
true.
take some questions now, or
Yeah, for sure.
do you
We
still
can
have
take
some
questions. Yeah.
golden stories you want to share? I know you have
We
some
can take
tips.
questions.
You have some tips around networking that you were gonna share. Have you?
Oh yeah, if you want, we can. I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
start
go
with
for
that. Yeah.
that. And then after
Uh,
that, we'll let Nero talk about the questions she's getting on LinkedIn.
all right. So, okay. So, uh, let's talk about, three actionable steps that you can take, right? So there's things that you need to do before attending a networking event. There are things that you need to do during a networking event, and there are things that you need to do after you attend a networking event, right? So this is my go-to approach on how I take these steps to making these really nice relationships with people and fostering that relationships. So let's start with, what to do before attending a networking event. So the number one thing that I do is I set a specific goal. And setting a specific goal can mean different things to different people, right? Is it, do you want to network to find a job? Are you just networking for the sake of networking to build relationship, which I was doing? And if you're trying to network to find a job, or if you're trying to make relationships, just look into the companies that are attending the networking event. Make a list of companies that you're interested in and see if they have job openings. With a specific goal in mind, it's much more easier to take action, and it will help you meet new people as well, because in networking events there's a lot of different companies, right? So if you have a goal in mind, like who you want to talk to, who you want to foster that relationship with, that it will set you up for success in the future as well. And before you attend a networking event, I tell everyone to develop a personal pitch. So everyone you meet at a networking event will ask you this question: tell me about yourself, or what do you do? And you need to learn how to share your story that grabs the attention of the person you're talking to. And think about creating an elevator pitch about yourself that tells the story about who you are and what you do. Because I see a lot of people, when I talk to them, I ask them, oh, can you tell me more about yourself? They say, oh, I'm a university student majoring in finance and I work at this company, and that's it. It's like you need to learn how to share your story and share who you are as an individual. And this is one of the most important questions, which is tell me about yourself. Because if you have this question prepared, you can use it during networking events as well as during an interview. Because in interviews, this is one of the most important questions, which is tell me about yourself. So think about this question where you share your story about who you are, what skills you have, how you're using these skill sets in your job as well. So these are like the two main things that I do before I attend a networking event. And Then, now that you have prepared for the event by practicing your pitch and setting an objective, now you may ask, what should I do during the event to make me stand out, right? And there are a few tips that I personally use to make myself stand out while attending a networking event. So the first thing I do is I ask lots of questions, and I'm super curious about everything. Like, if you tell me, oh, I do this, I ask, why do you do this? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? Like, and like, how do you do this particular thing? Tell me more. Like, I ask by I ask lots of questions about their background experiences and where they see themselves in, like, in the future as well. Like during interviews as well, I am that kind of person. Like, I take unconventional approaches. So during interviews, they, the interviewee asks me, oh, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? I ask them back, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? I do that, and I see, I try to make that like relationship by asking like these life questions as well, instead of just focusing on their work. So this is like one of the questions that I like asking, which is like, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? What advice would you give to your younger self if you were if you were like 20 years old? So I ask lots of different questions that make people think. And if you ask like normal questions that everyone else is asking, that
Mhm.
won't make you
So you
stand
ask
out, right?
questions that make you memorable,
Yeah,
so that
that's what.
yeah, people can remember actually meeting you. And
Yeah.
I know in many of our immigrant cultures, many of our cultures are very conservative. Okay, we're hearing the voice of a cute baby there. Please, if you can mute yourself, if you're not speaking, that would be great. Thank you. Yeah. So, what was I saying?
Mm, yeah, we were talking about questions and like making that relationships by asking questions. So you're talking about that.
Yes, like yeah,
Yeah.
making yourself memorable
But
whenever
yeah.
there's an interaction. And also it's a lot about being authentic. Because when we okay, I was talking about immigrant cultures, that many of our cultures are very conservative. We have cultures around how you talk to someone that is older than you. Don't speak until you're spoken to, you know, very honorable value system that we have. But sometimes it doesn't serve us well in the workplace or in the space of professional in the professional setup, because when you're not looking into people's eyes, you're not asking them questions, a lot of times they feel like you're not interested in
Mhm.
engaging, or they feel like you're hiding something. So some of these things I recognize that they don't come naturally for us
Yeah.
because of the some of the kind of the type of culture we've grown up in. So it's a growth mindset. It's about leaving your comfort zone and just pushing a little into that discomfort and allowing yourself to
Hmm.
be vulnerable, because it is vulnerable when you put yourself out there and you ask someone a question when you're not even sure they will answer you, or you reach out and say, can I have a meeting, when you're not sure they will say yes. So it is vulnerable,
Hmm.
but that's the place of growth, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's like the culture barrier is one thing that I struggled with that with it as well, because in the Canadian culture, everyone is so polite. Everyone says sorry, thank you, right? And as a person who comes from like a different culture, I am very direct with people. It's like, oh, uh, uh, it's like we were never taught to, be like, say sorry, thank you a lot. Right? We used to say it, but it's like we are very direct, right? And I remember like I went on a backpacking trip last year, and it was a course offered by the University of Calgary. And I remember and it was a leadership course, and I was a leader of the day. And I asked my professor, what advice would you give to me? And he said that you're a very direct person, and you need to, you need to, surround yourself with, Canadian people, and like learn about the Canadian culture, and try to, say please and thank you a lot, or like, sorry a lot. And that was like one culture barrier that I had to face, which is like I cannot be direct, and I need to make sure that I, take all these different cultures into account, and make sure that I'm respectful to these cultures as well, right?
Mm,
So that's
mhm,
like one barrier that I faced personally, which was I was way too direct before, and now I'm trying to learn more about the Canadian culture and like other cultures as well. Yeah.
mm. Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, so it's like when you talk to people, uh the first tip was ask questions and be curious, right? And and this will help you make you memorable as well. And the second thing is, now it's time for you to shine. When someone asks you, tell me about yourself, now this is the perfect opportunity for you to share that attention grabbing story that you wrote before attending the networking event, right? And this story, as I said, can go a long way. You can keep refining it, you can keep improving it. Like the first few networking events, you might not see progress, but the more you put yourself out there, the less scared you get, and the more
Mm-hmm.
refined your pitches get as well. And
Exactly. And the
and
more
having
comfortable you get talking
yeah,
about yourself. So if you
yeah,
felt weird at first talking about yourself, like it is for me, but the more you talk about it, the more you attend a networking event. It could be online, it could be in person. And they say, "Oh, what do you do? Or what brought you here?" So you talk about it today, tomorrow. And then the day you actually have an interview, you're already used to talking about what you do. So it
yeah.
doesn't feel like a heavy weight on you anymore because you have already grown accustomed to sharing your story.
Hmm. Yeah, that is actually true. Yeah, and now like after attending so many networking events and talking to so many people about my story, it's like when I have interviews, I don't even prepare for interviews now. It's like I know how to, talk about my stories, how to talk about the skills that I developed in all of my different work terms in my different internships. It's like now the more I practice talking and the more I talk to people, the more comfortable I get with talking about myself, my skill
Mm-hmm.
sets. So that's like one important thing is put yourself out there, talk to as many people as you can, book one-on-one coffee chats, attend networking events, and share your story. That was my second tip. And the third tip while you're attending a networking event is ask for contact information, right? It's like it is important that you stay in touch with the person that you're talking to after the networking event ends. So ask for the contact information. It could either be a LinkedIn profile, or it could either be a business card with their email or phone number on it, right? And this will help you stay in touch with them after you finish networking and finish the networking event. So these are the three things that I do to to make myself stand out from the crowd, which is the first thing is ask really nice questions and be curious, because people like to talk about themselves, right? It's like
Mm,
the more you keep asking questions about the other person, they'll they'll remember you, and the more you make them think with your questions, they'll remember you more as well. So ask insightful questions and be curious about the other person, and this will go a long way. And the second thing was share your story and sell yourself by answering the question, tell me about yourself, and then ask for contact information to stay in touch. So now what to do after attending a networking event? Now that you met this one individual that you really liked and you shared the story, now what to do after attending a networking event? So I personally like to follow up within 24 hours, because the individual during the networking event might encounter and talk to thousands of different people, right? So the first thing that you did to stand out from the crowd was ask insightful questions and be curious, right? Now, to make sure that they don't forget you, you need to follow up within 24 hours. Like, the best way to follow up is sending an email or LinkedIn message, or sending them a message to tell them how valuable you found your conversation and that you would like to stay connected as well. And once you do that, then I personally schedule a coffee chat with them, virtual or in person, because during a networking event, it's hard to cover everything about their life, right? It's like you talk about some different things. So for me personally, I want to get to know about them from the time they went to college till the time they are here right now, and what they're doing in the future as well. So I like to meet over coffee and continue building that relationship with them. And it takes time to build that relationship. And if you notice in like all of these different things that I do, I never talk about what I want. It's like I might be looking for a job, but I don't say that at all because I just want to build that relationship with that person. And once that relationship is built and once that person remembers you, and if they see an opportunity and once you do all of that stuff and then you talk about yourself, what you're doing, then once they see an opportunity, they'll the first thing that comes into their mind is, oh, Wunmi talked to me on this day, and I think she might be a good fit for this position, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
and then everything will align itself in the future, right? But like what I do is like I focus just on building this relationship and making sure they remember me. So these are like a few tips that I just wanted to share with everyone, and
Wow.
these are the tips that I personally use to make myself stand out from like other people as well.
That was awesome. 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 This is something that took people years to learn, and you've cracked it in like 20 months or less. So we'll go through the questions now.
All right.
Okay, let's start with Nero. Let's start with the questions Nero is getting on
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
awesome story. There are no questions right now on LinkedIn, but lots of
Oh,
thumbs
okay.
up.
Oh, thumbs up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of thumbs up, of course. Okay, so if anyone has question right here on the call, please raise your
All right.
hand, raise your
I
virtual hand. And I can't see it, so Nero, please
oh
watch out for any raised
I
hands.
I see
Some
questions in the
questions in the
chat.
chat, yes.
Okay, so I can go like one by one for the questions if you want.
Just hold on. So did you go to networking event for the internships you got? I think you kind of already answered that.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
guess that question was asked before you went that far in the
yeah,
conversation. So where did you find those events? Okay, I'll let you
yeah.
answer that.
So for that, I started with looking at events at Platform Calgary. So Platform Calgary is an organization that hosts and helps startups here in Calgary to help them grow. And this was the first time that when I first attended networking events, it was through Platform Calgary. And once I developed my network, like once I attended lots of events at Platform Calgary, I then automatically got connected with so many different people in the community that they used to share on LinkedIn about the event that they're attending, and I just used to join them. So Platform Calgary is one of the places where I found lots of networking events. And the second thing is at University of Calgary, a lot of student clubs at University of Calgary or other universities host networking events as well. So I started doing that and I started seeing so many university clubs in like the business field because I'm from a business background. I saw a lot of like business student clubs hosting networking events with the companies, and I used to attend those as well. So these are the two main platforms where I found about networking events, and then through my community on LinkedIn I just saw events here and there.
Hmm. And here, Immigrant Tech is Alberta here is also we're a good plug for you
Mhm.
because that's exactly what we do. This kind of events, bringing people to talk about a topic. Sometimes we're featuring companies who just come here and talk about themselves, what they do, what their company does, what kind of people they hire, what their values are. So yeah, so connect with us, connect with Platform Calgary, there's Rainforest Alberta, there's like a lot.
Yeah.
So just uh, plug yourself in with us here at Immigrant Tech is Alberta, and everything, when we see things that are relevant, we'll just share with you because it's a large ecosystem, but it's also small enough that people know each other. So when an organization is hosting an event, almost everybody knows about it, and we're sharing it. But you just need to be in the space where you know that something is going on. So yeah,
Mhm.
connect here with us, and we'll be your plug.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip Melvin's question for now. So let's go to Temi's. How do you create an elevator pitch if you don't know your preferred career path? don't have much work experience, resulting to a lack of identified skills.
Yeah, for sure. So an elevator pitch is not about, like, what your preferred career path is. It's about who you are as an individual, right? Like, it's about, like, what you studied, for example. If you did bachelor's of commerce, like, you have those experiences in your universities or in your, like, education. You can talk about that, and then you can talk about the skills that you have gained, and then you can talk about why you're attending this event, what you're hoping to get out of this event. And you might have a general idea about a career path that you want to pursue, but if you're not fixated on that, you can talk about, oh, this is an opportunity, that this is a career path. For example, it's a data analyst job, right? This is a data analyst job that I am trying to break into, and I'm trying to find out how to do that, and I'm trying to gain relevant experience based on that as well, right? So it's like, if you don't have a preferred career path, you can talk about something that you might be interested in the future to pursue, and what you're doing currently to develop skill sets, right? There has to be, like,
Mhm,
as an immigrant, you need to constantly develop your skill sets, constantly learn and put yourself out there. So if you do that, you have lots of stories to share. If you're doing a course or a certification, you can talk about, I am
mhm,
doing a certification to improve my, data analysis skill sets, and I'm doing this, I'm doing that. This shows that you are a curious person who's willing to learn about different things. It's not about the career path per se, it's about who you are as an individual. So for
mhm,
me, for example, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I first came here. So I just used to learn and read books. And I used to tell them, oh, I'm reading about this book, or I'm, doing this certification. And this showed that I am a very curious person who's willing to learn and willing to develop his skill sets. And
mhm.
it's all about who you are as an individual rather than, like, the work itself.
Yeah, and also because you're a student and they know it, they don't expect you to have a ton of experience. So if you don't have a history to build on, you have a dream to paint, right? You can paint the picture of what your dream is, of what you're going, of what inspires you, what motivates you. So even though you have the you can't say these are the jobs I have done, these are all the things I have achieved. You can sell your dream. You can sell them a
Yeah,
glimpse of what your future will look like. So there's always value. Every human being, there's always value that you can provide.
yeah.
So why I skipped that question earlier is because it was super specific on one job. But if you want to take a stab at it, Ariane,
I
without
can take
delving
that.
particularly into just
Yeah.
I don't want to take us off course and start
Oh
talking
yeah.
about data analytics. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah, for sure.
the
So
general. Mhm,
so for that, now I personally didn't have any experience as a data analyst as well, right? So what I did was, I, like, for me, I take different approaches, and with me, and this approach might not work for everyone. It's like, I network with everyone. I just, I all of my jobs that I got, like all my internships, I found it through networking. And if you are in a situation where you don't know, if you don't have a previous job as a data analyst, it's like, I tell people, volunteer for free for, nonprofit organizations or small businesses, or startups, right?
come
All
volunteer here with us.
Yes.
We're always looking for volunteers.
If that's what, like, if you volunteer to do all of these different things and develop your skill sets through that, you can put it on your resume. So I did that a lot, where I volunteered to help out the gymnastics classes, for example. And and I just wanted to develop my data analysis skills, right? So I took all their data, and I started, making KPIs and did data analysis for them. So it's like, put yourself out there, volunteer for free, if even if you're not getting paid. But if while you're doing that, while you're finding a job and you're volunteering, you're actually developing skill sets, and you are actually, putting something on your resume as well. So this is like one piece of advice that I would give to you, Melvin, which is, just go out there and see how you can volunteer to provide value to startups, or like for example immigrant techies. If Unmi is looking for someone, Melvin, you can help her out, right? So this is like one thing that I used to do personally.
Mm-hmm. So I just put something in the chat there. I encourage everyone here to copy your LinkedIn profile and put it in the chat there, and make sure you connect with all the people you don't know yet.
Yeah,
That's another way you know people, right?
yeah.
Nero, there's a question Nero posted. How do you get enough confidence when approaching new roles and projects when you may not have expertise? I think you just talked about it,
I mean, yeah.
but
Or
yeah,
if you,
go for it if
if
you want to add something.
I can share one more insight, which is about imposter syndrome, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I personally faced imposter syndrome a lot, and I still face it in my life, right? Which is I am very self confident, and I believe a lot in myself, and it's all about my mindset, right? It's about like, like data analysis, for example. I'll tell you a story, a small story where uh, when I got the interview for TD Bank as a data analyst, I had no idea how to code in SQL. I just told in the interview that, oh, I know this, I know how to do this, I know how to do that, right? I was like, I can get the job done. And then as time went on, like okay, from June till August, I had like 2 months. So I spent a lot of time working on developing my skill sets. And once the time came, I performed well. And now I have done a lot of these different things where I say to people I can do all of these different things, but I have no idea how to do it. But in myself, I believe that I can figure it out on the way. So this is like one thing that I personally do, which is I believe in myself that I will be able to figure out eventually once I get that position. But this is like it won't work for a lot of people. But with, for example, the product that I'm working with All Time on, and while I'll be working in September with them as well, I don't know how to create a product. Never created a product in my life. So I started reading books, started watching watching videos on YouTube about how to build a product, what is needed to build a product, right? So it's like just constantly learning and putting yourself out there is one thing that I do to face this imposter syndrome that I have,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have expertise in anything as a student right now. But if I have that self belief that I will eventually figure it out, I can do lots of different things. So it comes down to that belief in yourself, and making sure that you figure it out on your own. This is like one thing that personally worked for me.
Awesome, awesome. Roslyn, if you want to copy your whole profile link so that it's clickable, what you have there is not clickable. Okay, we have 4 minutes to go. Nero, do you want to post the Telegram group link again? So yeah, like I said in the when the meeting started, we created a Telegram group just to keep things going until the Community Connect app is ready. So if you want to join, that would be great. Is there any raised hands, any more questions, any burning question,
Tony,
anything we missed?
Tony has a question. How important is LinkedIn? Yeah,
Oh, that's
that's a good.
like a topic for a whole
Yeah,
topic for a whole day, right?
yeah, that's like LinkedIn is one of the most important things that you can use. And if you know how to use it properly, you can find lots of opportunities on LinkedIn as well. It's like networking can be through LinkedIn as well. Let me share one last story. So this is a short story as well. So I remember, besides attending networking events, I used to message people on LinkedIn as well, right? And I remember one story where I wanted a job at CGI as a business analyst intern, and I messaged the recruiter 15 times consecutively for 15 days till she replied, or she said no, stop sending me messages. So I did that for 15 days straight. no reply. And she called me directly to give me an interview. And she's like, I liked how determined you were on how you messaged me 15 times, even though I didn't reply. And I got an interview directly based on just that. So it's like LinkedIn plays an important role to connect with people in different companies. And if you have a great LinkedIn profile, which is like another topic as when we mentioned as well, you can find lots of different opportunities on LinkedIn as well. But LinkedIn is super important. And if you look at my LinkedIn, for example, like I'm very active on LinkedIn. I try to be active on LinkedIn so that I put myself out there and everyone remembers who I am as an individual. So if you have an opportunity, learn how to use LinkedIn effectively and learn how to use it for your advantage.
And LinkedIn is my business card. Like when I attend events, I don't take cards anymore. So you just go scan each other's LinkedIn profile, and that's how you stay connected.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, LinkedIn is a separate topic. I just don't want people to go away thinking it's okay for you to text bomb people.
Yeah.
Because of that example you shared. You want to also be mindful of that person and the kind of relationship you already have, because there are things to do and not to do on LinkedIn as well. So, but overall, it's a very useful tool. Okay, so it's 6:59. Any more questions or comment? Or at this point, I think you can, if you have something to say, feel free to unmute yourself and say it.
Yeah.
And try to connect with each other on LinkedIn. The profiles are there. Make sure that you, at least 2 people that you didn't know before, you have them as your connection from this evening. That would be awesome. Okay, so if there is no question, thank you very much, Aryan. This was so inspiring, so beautiful. And yeah, I know the first time I spoke with you, I was like, no, other people need to hear your story. And I'm glad you obliged and you're here to share your story with other immigrants, other international students. So what will be your last, just one more word for international students, in the sense that being a student is already, it has its own challenges. So what is that added layer of challenge that international students have? And what do you say to help people get over that?
Yeah. So my last piece of advice is that a lot of international students are scared to put themselves out there. So I would say that there is no right or wrong way of finding a job. There is like people find jobs through just applying, but think about it as a competition where hundreds of people are applying for the same job. So the more you put yourself out there, the more you get out of your comfort zone, the more better it is. And I know it is scary, but when you take that first step of attending one networking event and you start talking to like just one person at that networking event, that's a huge win. So you need to just put yourself out there, take that single step, and that single step can lead to bigger things in life later on in the future, right? So this is like, just take that one single step and get over the fear of putting yourself out there and just be a little bit uncomfortable, right? This is my last piece of advice is, just put yourself out there, take that one small step, attend one networking event, attend talk to just one person and see what happens, right? And the more you do that, the more confident you get and the more comfortable you get with uncomfortability. So this is my last piece of advice.
And if you are feeling some imposter syndrome, reach out to Aryan and book a coffee chat with him.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll
Yeah.
teach you how to get over the imposter syndrome.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Aryan. This was so refreshing.
Thank you so
And
much.
thank you everyone for attending, and thanks for spending your evening with us. Please keep in touch. like I said earlier, we will try to make sure we create content that is specific to international students going forward, because that is a community we have not been serving well, and we want to rectify that. So be on the lookout for more content that supports students.
For sure.
Awesome. Thank you, Aryan. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone. And thank
Have
you,
a
Winnie.
great evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.